Winter weather continues this week with double-digit negative wind chills that we haven't seen in a generation. If you have to get somewhere in this weather, there are some things we should all be doing to give our cars a fighting chance to make it.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Tuesday, January 29th. We have already been talking about how the heck our cars are going to get started tomorrow morning if you don't have a garage or something. But before we even get there, there's some dangerously cold temperatures to deal with today.
Yeah, I hope you got the kids outside yesterday to play in the snow, because you really can't do that today.
Not for a while.
I mean, temperatures are going to continue to fall this morning, and wind chills are going to be in a dangerous range. We have wind chill advisories in effect for the entire area this morning. Wind chills anywhere from 20 to 35 below as we head towards the lunch hour. Then those wind chill advisories are replaced by wind chill warnings for all of southern Wisconsin. Our current temperatures, we have now dropped below zero. So ladies, we are not going to be above zero until sometime later Friday morning. It's going to be a long week. Here's a look at what it feels like this morning. Winds aren't terribly strong here in Madison, but you see it doesn't take much of a wind to send that wind chill down to 23 below in Platteville, 24 below in Mineral Point. Those are numbers that we'll be very familiar with later today, even here in Madison. That's where our wind chill will hover through the day today. So you don't want to spend any extra time outside if you don't have to. Now, on traffic maps this morning, it's looking a little better than it did this time yesterday. We have just a few flurries flying across southern Wisconsin. There are some slowdowns on Stoughton Road south of the Beltline. Looks like Park Street might be a little slow in spots as you head into downtown. But otherwise, there aren't any accidents to report right now, so you're still going at posted speeds on all those major routes into the city.
We just, Hattie, as you were saying that, got an alert. I know, of course it did. Left lane is closed on the interstate heading north near Dane. So just be careful out there. This is due to a crash. So this weather, I mean, I know I slipped on the way here.
Still icy out.
Yeah,
less snow, but ice.
It is, and be careful. I mean, if you have a crash or you slide off the road, you don't want to be spending any extra time outside.
Right,
trying to fix the situation. So be prepared.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
First this half hour, Wisconsin is under a state of emergency this morning because of those dangerously cold temperatures. Governor Tony Evers made that announcement yesterday, saying he wants to make sure all state assets are available to help people stay warm and safe, including the Wisconsin National Guard. The executive order directs all state agencies to help out with emergency response and recovery efforts stemming from this snow and the cold weather this week.
Some school districts have already canceled classes for today and tomorrow based on the forecast. That's the case in places like Dodgeville, Iowa Grant, Adams Friendship, Cuba City, and more. Now, Madison called off school last night, but just for today, we do have now more than 80 districts making that same decision for the cold so far this morning. UW-Whitewater has already canceled classes from 5 p.m. today through Friday. UW-Platteville's closure starts at noon today and goes until Friday. So far, Madison College campuses still running as usual.
Meanwhile, an online petition has 10,000 signatures and counting to close down UW-Madison for the weather. The university has yet to announce a closure this week, and that's not unusual. The last day UW closed for a full day was back in December of 2012, though they did cancel morning classes once in 2014. But administrators have said with temperatures as low as we're seeing in this forecast, it could happen this year.
We're looking at potential record-breaking cold weather. In fact, it could, cause frostbite within minutes of being outside. When you're looking at weather like that, we make our decisions based on life safety.
Mark Levicott with the UW Police Department called the cold we're expecting in these next couple of days a game changer. But at UW, the chancellor is the one who makes that final decision.
This is Wisconsin. And after 9-inch or 6-inch snow and minus 20-degree weather, they expect life to go on as normal. Welcome to Badgerland.
That right there is Madison Mayor Paul Soglin with maybe some brutal honesty, explaining why city business will go on as normally as possible today. City offices will be open just like they were yesterday. The city did delay, though, the deadline to get snow off sidewalks. You now have until 8 a.m. tomorrow to do that or risk getting a ticket. The mayor is also reminding everyone to take it slow on the roads. We just mentioned the interstate crash that's got a left lane blocked heading north near Dane. You're looking right now at the Beltline. Things looking pretty smooth right now, but that snow that's on the ground from yesterday can certainly turn into ice. Now, you will see Metro buses running today, though maybe a little behind schedule, so make sure to check out the times ahead of your ride. The Beltline, again, looking pretty clear. Watch out for those icy patches, though, especially on bridges.
In weather like this, it's even more important that we prepare for a car problem. You definitely don't want to be stranded without an emergency kit in your trunk.
Yeah, first you even have to get out on the road, and that might not happen in these temperatures. Josh Spreiter is live inside the News 3 garage this morning with some hacks that we could probably all use over the next couple of days. Josh?
Good morning. Yes, this is probably going to come in very handy for you. Last hour, we did put together that emergency kit. We've got that back here, so I'm going to grab the jumper cables, which are probably going to come in handy. But when we're dealing with temperatures this cold, it's probably going to be even more than just the jumper cables. You're going to want to make sure that you're up to date with the latest maintenance on your car. You're going to want to have the correct oil, and you're also going to want to have a battery that is not more than 3 years old. And there are some other tips that you can also do. Right here, we've got what's called a battery warming blanket. What you do is you can actually wrap that around your battery in your car and then plug it in if you're lucky enough to have an outlet nearby. Of course, obviously, if you park in a garage, this probably won't be as big of a deal for you. But then for all of us that have to park outside for 8 hours a day at work, this still could come in handy. Another thing, you're going to want to make sure you have a full tank of gas, because that can also try to avoid getting any added moisture freezing up in some of your gas lines. And when it comes to actually starting your vehicle, there are some tips to do inside your car as well. Some things that we even learned here at the station. First off, when you get in, you're going to want to make sure you have all of the lights off. You're going to want to make sure your fan, your heater, your radio's off, and anything, maybe your phone charger, unplugged. And when you actually go to start the car, you'll try starting it. I won't do it because we're in a garage right now. You'll try it one time. If it doesn't start, try it again. And if it still doesn't start, experts say you should wait about a minute. Sometimes that gives it enough time to loosen up a little bit. But of course, if it doesn't start after that, you're probably going to need some additional help. And this is all from Consumer Reports and AAA, and we've placed all of these hacks up on our website. Of course, ladies, when we're talking about temperatures this cold, we're probably going to be out of luck for a lot of us, and that's why experts are just encouraging people to stay home. They don't even like giving any of these hacks out because they just have people try to avoid these dangerous situations as possible. So that's kind of what we learned this morning. Hopefully that'll help you out, but with temps like this, we might all be out of luck this week. Yeah. So I think staying home sounds pretty nice to me.
Yeah, if you can, but a lot of us can't, as you know well, Josh, so we appreciate the help. Thank you so much.
It is also important to make sure you're staying safe inside this week. You're going to want to double check your furnace and make sure it's functioning properly. Local technicians tell us to double check the filter and make sure it's clean, and keep outside vents clear of any ice or snow. If you need help, heating companies, as you can imagine, pretty backed up right now. All Comfort Services responded to nearly 1,000 calls just this weekend. They're reminding customers to schedule a furnace check annually before the cold sets in. And if you're using a space heater to keep warm, firefighters want you to know they're not meant to replace your normal heating system. Even with automatic shutoff features, thousands of fires are started by space heaters across the country every year. The National Fire Protection Association recommends plugging no more than one heater into a single outlet. You can find out more about fire prevention during this time of year at nfpa.org. Okay, 6:08 your time now. If you or someone you know has breast cancer, you're probably already familiar with the huge community of support out there. That community is getting a little bit tighter with some changes coming to this year's Race for the Cure. We're talking with the folks over at Susan G. Komen, Wisconsin, next.
Wind gusts could get up to 35 miles an hour throughout the day, along with close to record low temperatures. We'll have all the warnings you need to know in your first alert forecast next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. We're talking wind chill advisories and warnings for the next couple of days. Right now, it's an advisory for southern Wisconsin for the entire area. We're talking wind chills approaching 20 to 30 below zero this morning. Those winds will increase through the day, and after lunchtime today for southwestern Wisconsin, that wind chill advisory is replaced by a wind chill warning. That same thing happens today for the rest of south central and southeastern Wisconsin at 6 p.m. So by 6 o'clock this evening, everyone will be under a wind chill warning. Wind chill warnings are pretty rare here in southern Wisconsin, issued once maybe every 2 to 3 years. Now our future track wind chill forecast starting this morning has wind chills already in the 20s below zero. So if you're heading out the door early today, take the proper precautions. Wind chills are in the double digits below zero. It's really not going to improve much through the day. Temperatures will stay below zero today and winds will be on the increase. So by 5 p.m. if you're heading home from work, wind chills will range anywhere from 30 to 40 below. And it gets worse from there overnight. Strong winds overnight will send those wind chills into the 50s to almost 60 below zero in some spots. And wind chills will stay well below zero in the dangerous range through the day on Wednesday right into Thursday. So nothing to mess around with. When we're talking wind chills in the 50s to around 60 degrees below zero, this dark blue shaded color means that frostbite occurs in 10 minutes or less. And when you get into the purple shaded color, that's frostbite occurring in just a few minutes, 5 minutes or less on exposed skin. So nothing you want to mess around with. We do have some flurries flying outside this morning, not anything heavy enough to be picked up by the radar map. There is the potential for some flurries today as that colder Arctic air works its way into the region. A significant amount of clearing, though, already taking place across northern Wisconsin. A few clouds here and there across the southern part of the state, but take a look at those current temperatures. Milwaukee is still above zero, but the rest of us have dropped below zero. Here in southern Wisconsin, 2 in Madison below zero, 4 below in the Dells, 5 below in Lone Rock, 1 below in Prairie du Chien. Here's a look at current wind chills, again double digits below zero in all locations. I mentioned wind speeds are going to be on the increase through the day, so that is not going to help us at all with those wind chill numbers. Future track forecast has partly sunny skies today. The numbers stay in negative territory. A few flurries are possible from time to time. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, though, the actual air temperature will be in the 20s below zero. Here's a look at your extended forecast. It stays dangerously cold through Wednesday into Thursday, so alert days are in the forecast for each of those days. Tomorrow's high is 16 degrees below zero. Nice turnaround for the upcoming weekend, but we do have to bring back the chance for rain and snow, believe it or not, as temperatures climb above the freezing point. Now let's get a look at your traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Watching a crash on I-39 northbound near the town of Dane at mile marker 124.6, closing the left-hand lane. Look for delays to grow as volume increases. So far, no delays showing up on the Beltline yet in either direction, although that westbound side definitely picking up between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. Looking at other roads here in Dane County, inbound 151 coming into Madison from Sun Prairie, along with Highway 14 coming into Middleton. They're moving slower than usual and do expect extra time on other routes heading into Madison. So far, things are moving close to the posted speeds. Your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. And of course, thank you, Hattie, for all those warnings about the temperatures. So last year, money raised during the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure helped provide more than 32,000 life-saving services to people right here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that includes things like breast cancer screenings, education programs, and rides to appointments. This morning, Mel Tobias joins us to talk about the new atmosphere you'll be seeing and the new name at this year's event. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. You're staying warm this morning. Glad to see that.
Yes.
Let's start with this new name because it's a pretty big change. What prompted it?
Yeah, so this is just an evolution of Susan G. Komen's brand. The name stems from our brand platform of being more than pink, which highlights the idea that our organization and our supporters are more than just a color. We're more than just awareness.
What does that mean to you? I mean, you've probably seen this event through the years kind of morph and change and maybe not change all that much, but you know, why make this change? You know, what does it really mean?
Yeah, so this event will have a new focus on the life-saving work that our supporters make possible, which hasn't been highlighted as much in the past. So with the idea of being more than pink, when people show up, there's going to be more colors and more of a focus on different things that we do, from funding cutting-edge research to providing care to people here in Madison and in Wisconsin.
There's some other changes coming as well. You're doing away with the 5K, the race portion of it, focusing more on the walk, and you folks have said that's to build this idea of community. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so part of the reason of getting rid of the timed run element is majority of our participants in the past have walked, and by focusing on that walk, we can create a greater sense of community. And also, when we eliminate the costs that are tied to certifying and managing a time run, we can really maximize the funds that we're putting towards our mission.
Sure.
Mel, I'm sure community, that word means a lot to the men and women involved in this. What have you seen throughout the years? What does that concept really mean for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of community is the care that we can offer people right here in Madison. When people come together for the More Than Pink Walk, they're raising funds, not only to fund breast cancer research, but to raise funds for our Breast Cancer Assistance Fund that provides financial support for breast health services and support services for people with breast cancer.
And that's we were talking about rides to appointments and things like that. That's the kind of things you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's important to know, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're still, we're not doing away with the color pink, right?
Yeah, no, pink is still central. You'll see it, our survivors and those with metastatic breast cancer, they're still going to be in those pink shirts. There'll just be more colors to really highlight what we're doing.
More Than Pink. All right.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning to talk about this change.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Of course, the Madison walk now, it's going to take me a minute to make sure we know how to say this and not say Race for the Cure.
Right.
More Than Pink Walk happens on June 8th over at the Alliant Energy Center, bringing it back to where it once was. So you can register right now at colemanwisconsin.org. Thank you so much. Hopefully a little warmer temperatures on the way.
I am keeping my fingers crossed.
We all are.
You
we
never
all are.
know
We've
with
got a couple
Wisconsin,
months.
but all right. Thanks again, Mel.
Thank you.
So a project at Common Council tonight might have you planning a bit of a staycation here in Madison. We'll take a look at the micro lodge plans coming to the Far East Side.
And there are wind chill advisories already in place in our area. Those are going to change to warnings later today. Reminder, it just takes a couple of minutes for frostbite to set in. You heard Hattie. She's got another look at your Alert Day forecast when News 3 This Morning continues.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Wind chill advisories in effect until noon today for southwestern Wisconsin, until 6 p.m. this afternoon for the rest of the area. Then they'll be replaced with wind chill warnings. Current temperatures are dropping below zero in most locations. Janesville's at 0. Everyone else is below 0 this morning. Here's a look at those current wind chills as well. Some of the spots west of Madison reporting wind chills in the 20 to 25 below range. That's where our wind chills will hover through the day. Temperatures are going to stay below 0 this day, so really not warming much as we head into the afternoon. Wind chills, again, well below 0 through the afternoon, right into the evening. Stay safe today.
Thank you very much, Hattie. So farmers are going to be doing what they can to make sure animals are inside as much as possible, but there's no such thing as a snow day for them. Water supplies might freeze up as well before those animals can get to them. Just like us, they can get frostbite in this kind of cold, so farmers are taking some extra precautions already with younger calves and other little livestock. That sometimes means moving them, if there's space, into warmer barns.
Meanwhile, farmers are looking forward to an update from Wisconsin's Dairy Task Force at a meeting on the UW campus today. The annual Agriculture Outlook Forum is happening over at Union South, and on the agenda is a closer look at the dairy industry, its costs and trends for the future, and more. The task force, you might remember, put together by Governor Walker, will give an update on the programs it's working on to help farmers across the state work through this pretty tough environment right now. That event starts today at 9:30. And if you are thinking summer thoughts with us, the city could be changing the way your favorite festivals and downtown events are organized in the years to come. Alders are looking at creating a so-called downtown zone, which would include most of the isthmus. The current ordinance doesn't address the impact of certain events on public transit, emergency services, or overall city resources. These new rules would essentially change the way those permits are handled for festivals, street fairs, and concerts off the Capitol Square.
Common Council is also looking at the layout for a tiny house setup at the Garver Feed Mill property. That's just off Fair Oaks Avenue, or Fair Oaks Drive, I should say, on the far east side. There's a plan to build so-called micro lodges behind the feed mill building. This is right near Olbert Gardens. Those would be available for visitors to book on a nightly basis, just like a hotel room. The small houses range anywhere from 250 square feet to 600 square feet in size. Alders will take a look at the blueprints and make sure there's funding in place to pay for everything later tonight.
All right, 6:24 your time now. A Rock County shelter is looking for anyone who's willing to donate some of their time to help keep others warm during these brutal temperatures. We're going to tell you how you can help.
And a screen printing business will finally be back open today, more than 6 months after the deadly explosion in Sun Prairie. The day's top stories are next on News 3 this morning. The city of Madison's extending the deadline to shovel sidewalks, but you'll probably want to do that ASAP. We are looking ahead to potentially record low wind chills.
Prepare now before it's too late. If you must head out in the car in this extreme cold, there are some important things to remember. I'm Josh Butter live with what you need to know before you hit the road.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:28 on this Tuesday, January 29th. Now almost 90 school districts closed for today. Some of those school districts have even said, nope, we're not going in tomorrow. Yeah, where they've already made the call.
Right, and it's going to be even worse tomorrow, so parents plan ahead.
Yeah.
There's the real possibility that schools will be canceled tomorrow. Our temperatures have dropped below zero this morning, and now we won't climb above zero until sometime Friday morning. Looks pretty outside. The Edgewater Skycam showing you a great view of the Capitol. We've had just a few flurries from time to time this morning, but the main weather story today will be the winds and cold temperatures. Right now, everyone's under a wind chill advisory. Wind chills will be dropping to around 35 below by a little bit later on today. These wind chill advisories will be replaced by wind chill warnings then later today. Current wind chills are in the double digits below zero in all locations this morning. Not a whole lot of a wind here in Madison, so our wind chill is 12 below, but it feels like 20 below in the Dells, Platteville, and Mineral Point. Here's a look at your wind chill forecast over the next 12 hours. Wind chills are generally going to stay in the 20s below zero through the day today. It gets even colder then tonight. Your first alert traffic maps this morning are looking a lot better than they were yesterday. There was an accident reported on the interstate north of DeForest, the northbound side of I-39. Not seeing any delays there anymore, so maybe that accident has cleared. Here in Madison, we're looking at some brake lights on Stoughton Road and the Beltline, and some slowdowns heading into the downtown area. Here's a look at your drive times, though, heading into Madison. No other accidents to report.
Lots of slide-offs and crashes reported, especially in that southwest corner of the state overnight. So just a reminder, this ice is dangerous to drive in.
It's slippery.
Yeah. All right, keep an eye on that. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So driving in the slick roads, on the slick roads, I should say, is one thing, but getting your car actually started in the cold is quite another.
This is going to be a serious problem. If you do get your car going, though, you should be prepared in case you break down in those dangerously low temperatures. Josh Breiter is live in the News 3 garage with what we all need to know this morning. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Of course, officials were even hesitant to give us some of these ideas because they just encourage people to stay home and avoid those potentially deadly situations with that extreme cold. But if you must go out, we've compiled a list of stuff that you can put together in your car from AAA and Consumer Reports. So this is something that we put together. Of course, you can buy them for around $40 to $75, but you can also put them together with what you need in your car. You can see we have anything from a tow strap to the jumper cables, even a battery warmer. Of course, you're going to be stuck on the side of the road, so you might want like a cone, a flare, or even the reflective gear. Of course, you're going to want that emergency kit as well, the first aid kit. We borrowed that from meteorologist Hattie McLean, one of the most prepared out of us all. You're going to get hungry and, of course, thirsty as well, so you're going to want some non-perishable food items and some water. And, of course, you'll want to have that full tank of gas, but we know gas does run out, and that means you'll be without heat, so you're going to want warming items like a blanket, hats, gloves, scarves, any sort of that stuff. Also, some other things, ice scraper, you got the shovel along there too, and of course anything else that you think you might need. Of course, when we're talking about temperatures this cold, you might not even have to worry about the emergency kit because if you can't get your car started, you're stuck anyways. There are some ways that you can, of course, get your car started with the jumper cables, but when it's that cold, there are also things that you can buy, like this heated battery blanket, which actually sounds kind of nice for a person too, but you just wrap it around your battery overnight, plug it in, and that'll help get you started in the morning if you're not lucky enough to park in the garage. But of course, ladies, when we're talking about extreme cold temperatures like this, there's really nothing you can do to over-prepare, and that's what officials are encouraging people to do, is prepare for the worst because you never know what's going to happen if you get stranded out in this. And I think you never think it's going to happen to you.
Exactly.
But of course, there's a lot of stuff here that I think is going to be very, very helpful.
There's always a little more space in the trunk there, right, Josh, to fit something else in.
There you go.
Boy, you guys haven't seen my car then.
Thanks for all the tips, Josh. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
So if you are able to get your car started, city leaders want to remind you to take it slow out on the roads as the concern changes from lots of snow to ice. You're taking a live look at the interstate outside Dane. You heard Hattie, a crash there just cleared up within the last few minutes. No backups there this morning, but it is just another reminder to take it slow, especially on major highways that might be icy this week. Here's another example of how quickly things can turn dangerous on the roads. This is video out of Milwaukee from yesterday. Take a look at that van. It loses control and slides into a snow-covered barrier. That right there is absolutely terrifying. The good news is, though, we are told the driver of that van was not hurt.
For real-time updates from Hattie and the entire News 3 weather team, as well as up-to-the-moment traffic updates, you should download our free Channel 3000 First Alert Weather and Traffic app. You can check the radar, set up personalized alerts, and get up-to-the-moment forecasts to prepare you for your day. So most of us will be cranking up the thermostat this week, but there is a reminder that a stove, fireplace, or space heater might be just as dangerous as these cold temperatures.
Good reminder for my parents with that stove in the basement. Just this weekend, someone died in a fire that started with a wood stove out in Grant County. The sheriff's office responded to that call Saturday morning in the town of Paris, just outside Dickeyville. Crews were able to contain the fire before they found a body inside the house. Officers are not releasing the name of that victim until an autopsy is done.
The National Fire Protection Association says half of all home heating fires do happen in December, January, or February. Heating equipment is involved in 1 of 7 of every one of those reported home fires and 1 of every 5 home fire deaths. That organization is recommending keeping anything that can burn at least 3 feet from things like wood stoves, fireplaces, radiators, and space heaters. It's also recommended that plugging no more than 1 heat-producing appliance, that is, into a single outlet. You can find more information on fire prevention this time of year at nfpa.org.
There is an emergency shelter opening up tonight in Beloit for anyone who needs help staying warm, and the Salvation Army is looking for volunteers to help out there. You can sign up for a 4-hour shift today, tomorrow, or Thursday. Those start at 4 in the afternoon and go until 8 the next morning. Volunteers will be asked to help serve meals and just keep an eye on everybody so they're safe and warm. If you're not able to volunteer, you can also help by donating food, blankets, or pillows.
The city of Sun Prairie is now suing 2 companies involved in last summer's deadly explosion downtown. Investigators found a worker with VC Tech was installing fiber optic cable when a natural gas line ruptured last July. That is what resulted in the explosion that destroyed half a city block and killed firefighter Corey Barr. The city filed a lawsuit Friday against VC Tech and Bear Communications. That lawsuit alleges both businesses failed to locate that gas line. It is seeking unspecified damages and costs. Last month, you may remember, Captain Barr's widow and 2 firefighters who were hurt in that explosion also filed a civil suit against those companies, along with We Energies and USIC.
This comes as a business in downtown Sun Prairie is just preparing to celebrate its reopening later today, 6 months after losing everything in that explosion. Razor Sharp Screen Printing was one of the buildings destroyed last summer. That business was forced to set up a temporary location further down Main Street. They're now celebrating their grand reopening at that new location on East Main this afternoon, as well as launching a new clothing store called Wisconsin Apparel Company. That grand reopening runs from 4 until 8 tonight.
One of the president's former advisors is in federal court for the first time today, facing charges of lying to Congress. We'll have an update in the morning sprint.
And Governor Evers has a new plan to make sure the water coming out of your tap at home is safe to drink. We'll take a look at his plans. That's next on News 3 This Morning. Okay, so we recommend if you're trying to take gorgeous My News 3 morning pictures like this next one, do it from the safety of your living room because it is going to be cold out there, folks. But boy, Mother Nature can be gorgeous when it's this cold. Susan emailed us this photo.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful shot from Beaver Dam. It's the frost-tipped, trees out there. We will probably be seeing a little bit more of this as the week goes on as well. Thank you, Susan, for grinning and bearing the cold. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We share our favorites every morning here on the program.
Governor Evers says he wants to make sure all drinking water here in Wisconsin is clean. This comes as a new task force takes on well contamination out in southwest Wisconsin, where hundreds of wells tested positive for contamination in Iowa, Grant, and Lafayette counties. Governor Evers plans to go a step further. He says he's dubbing 2019 the year of clean drinking water. He's also planning to put the Department of Health Services in charge of replacing lead pipes across the state and finding federal grants to help pay for it.
The candidates running for Madison mayor will share more on where they stand on diversity issues at a meet and greet tonight. Members of Madison's Black Chamber of Commerce and the Latino Chamber of Commerce, as well as other groups, will get some face time with the candidates who are facing off in next month's primary election. There will not be an official forum or debate. The event starts at 6:30 tonight at 100 State. That's on West Washington Avenue. Registration is closed, but you can learn more at openmadison.org.
6:41 now. We are running out of ways to describe how cold it's going to be this week, so we're just going to tell you. Wind chills will hit close to -60 starting tonight. Gorgeous sunrise at least, though, as long as you're bundled up to head out there and check it out. You might want to take some extra time anyway on your morning commute to layer on all of the clothes. Hattie's Alert Day forecast is next.
First, though, it is January 29th. We want to say happy birthday to Holden and all the kids turning 3 out there today. Thanks for celebrating with us on News 3 this morning.
Welcome back. There's some concerning tech news trending on Twitter this morning. A pretty serious bug is allowing iPhone customers to hear their friends talking before they even pick up the phone.
So that error is happening in the video chat system FaceTime. To make matters worse, callers can also immediately see through the front-facing camera of the person they're calling. An Apple spokesperson says they've identified a fix that should be released in a software update later on this week. The company says you should disable FaceTime until then on your iPhone, iPad, and all other Apple devices. I can tell you, my family out east will be interested to hear this one because we use FaceTime all the time.
I'm about to switch over to a Samsung. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's not good for Apple. I'm sure their stock's going to take a bit of a hit today.
Certainly. Okay, this next trending story is for Danica, my other spin class friends. People are calling out stationary bike company Peloton for its unrealistic commercials. Maybe you've seen these, appearing to show their product is only for the super rich. Here are some of the tweets that people are sending out. I had a carpenter build a $9,000 wood riser for my Peloton bike and my glass enclosed Zen garden home gym. Everybody has one of those. What are you talking about? The commercials also show riders in penthouse apartments with panoramic views. In case you're wondering, a Peloton bike costs just over $2,000.
Very interesting. I know in my greenhouse I'll be watching all of the snow blow around today from the comfort of my Peloton bike, or really,
Danica.
The translation for that, Hads, is my couch and my window out the living room.
I'll skip the bike. I'll just run up and down the stairs.
There you go.
A few hundred times maybe, but it is going to be quite cold outside. Part of the problem with the cold temperatures is that we have some fresh snow on the ground. With the last 3 storms, areas west of Madison have over a foot of snow on the ground right now, and that heavy snow total extends into the southeastern corner of the state. So we have more snow on the ground here than they do in much of the north woods. Now that fresh snowpack and cold temperatures will lead to dangerously cold conditions overnight tonight. Wind chill bulletins are in effect. It's a wind chill advisory this morning, but it gets replaced by a warning at noon today for southwestern Wisconsin. That advisory turns into a wind chill warning at 6 p.m. for the rest of the area. This is why we're talking wind chills anywhere from 40 to almost 60 degrees below zero during the morning times. Obviously not that cold just yet, but tomorrow morning it may feel like this. So alert days are in the forecast today, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, when you start to talk about wind chills in the 50s below zero to around 60 below zero, here's the updated wind chill chart. In that dark blue shaded area, frostbite can occur on exposed skin in 10 minutes or less when you're talking wind chills in the 40s and 50s below zero. When you approach 60 degrees below zero, frostbite occurs in just 5 minutes or less. So that's why we're asking you to take precautions and really avoid any extra time outside if you can. Here is that polar air you can see streaming out of the polar region down into the Great Lakes region of the United States, that Arctic air extending almost all the way down to the Gulf Coast. It is going to be quite cold through the rest of this week, but watch what happens with the upper air pattern as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Here's February 3rd. I believe that is Sunday, and we're looking at much milder conditions across southern Wisconsin, even above freezing for Saturday and Sunday. We're not done with the cold temperatures just yet. Here's next Thursday with another batch of cold air moving in. Temperatures and wind chills will be quite cold by the end of next week. If you are wondering, spring is just 50 days away. Well, that's the official start to spring. May not feel like spring then, but who's counting? Maybe a lot of us after this forecast. Here's a look at temperatures across the region. 2 below here in Madison, 21 below in International Falls this morning. Most places across southern Wisconsin are below zero right now, and with our winds increasing through the day today, we're going to see those wind chills plummet. Here's a look at your future track wind chill forecast. As you head out the door this morning, it'll be feeling like it's about 20 degrees below zero. Not a lot of improvement through the day today. Wind chills stay around 20 to 30 below when you head home from work this evening. It gets worse from there overnight tonight. Some of the coldest air of the season and in the last several years. We're looking at temperatures dropping to the 20s below zero, wind chills in the 50s to around 60 degrees below zero. Your extended forecast then says that you're going to need to bundle up no matter what you do. Highs tomorrow at minus 16. We're looking at near record cold conditions. Just to give you a little perspective, wind chill warnings generally issued maybe once every 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
I can't remember the last time we had a wind chill warning here, so it's pretty rare. Temperatures do get back into the 30s though this weekend.
Oh.
How appropriate is this?
Very.
This is like every kid in the area this morning.
Layla's going to be like that for the next 3 days.
I think so.
I'm going to join her. Yeah. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:52, time for the morning sprint. Highs in the negative. Temperatures could mean your car won't even start over the next couple days. Josh Brighter has some ways we can hopefully prevent those issues.
Let's start with those dangerous temperatures in Hattie's Alert Day forecast today. Hattie?
Good morning. We're looking at a live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam. Looks pretty outside, but it feels pretty cold this morning. Temperatures have dropped below zero, and we will remain below zero through sometime Friday morning. Our wind chills through the day today are going to range in the 20 to 25 below zero range for most locations. An alert day is in effect.
I'm Josh Butter, live inside the News 3 garage with some tips on trying to get your car started during this extreme cold. Of course, you're going to want to have things like the jumper cables available, and there's also things available called a battery warming blanket that you can actually wrap around the battery to keep it warm at night if you park outside. Of course, those are kind of hard to find at this time because everyone wants those. And if you do happen to get your car started and you hit the road, you're going to want to put together an emergency kit with all of the necessities, including things like a first aid kit and also food and water and stuff to keep warm if you're stranded on the road. Again, you're going to want to prepare for the worst in case that happens to you during this extreme cold. We have more hacks on channel3000.com.
If you don't have to travel, this is a good time to, stay home and play a board game or do something else like that.
That's because of road conditions. There's still a crash blocking a lane on the interstate this morning near Dane. We don't know if that was weather related, but the roads are plowed. Ice is still going to be an issue out there. You should be especially careful on bridges and watch out for icy patches throughout the week.
Wisconsin is under a state of emergency this morning because of those dangerously cold temperatures. Governor Tony Evers made that announcement yesterday, saying he wants to make sure all state assets are available to help people stay safe and warm, including the Wisconsin National Guard. The executive order directs all state agencies to help out with emergency response and recovery efforts.
This is Wisconsin. And after 9-inch or 6-inch snow and minus 20-degree weather, they expect life to go on as normal.
Madison Mayor Paul Soglin says city business will go on as normally as possible in this freezing cold weather. City offices will be open today. The mayor is encouraging everyone, though, to check in on their neighbors and to not venture out in this kind of weather alone. The city has delayed the deadline to clear your sidewalks until 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Almost 90 school districts are closed today, many of them already canceling classes for tomorrow, too, because of the cold. That's the case in places like Dodgeville, Iowa Grant, my friends in Highland, Cuba City, and more. Madison called off school last night, but just for today. You can find a full list over on channel3000.com.
There are warnings across the Midwest for the dangerous cold right now, but that has hit home in Iowa, where a 13-year-old boy was found dead over the weekend. He'd been missing for 5 days after leaving his home in the middle of last week's snowstorm. Wind chill that night was 6. Now, it could be negative 60 by tomorrow morning.
One of the president's former campaign advisors is set to appear in federal court today. Roger Stone could get prison time after investigators say he lied to Congress about what senior campaign officials knew about then-candidate Trump's connections with Russian-based hackers. According to a grand jury indictment, Stone talked to the Trump campaign before the 2016 election about WikiLeaks' plan to release emails it stole from the Democratic Party. Stone told Fox News last night he did nothing wrong.
President Trump will deliver his second State of the Union address 1 week from today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi officially invited him to give his speech in the House chamber next Tuesday. He was originally scheduled to address Congress today, but Speaker Pelosi had delayed it because of the government shutdown.
Before that, you're going to hear from President Trump on Super Bowl Sunday. Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan will sit down with the president on Friday, and parts of her interview will air on WISC-TV Sunday morning before Super Bowl pregame coverage. CNN Business reports it's a valuable TV spot for President Trump to continue his defense that ending the government shutdown was not a concession to Democrats.
6:56 right now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with one more check on these roads. Josh, how's it going?
Yeah, still watching that crash on I-39 northbound near the town of Dane, just after the Highway DM crossing that will close the left lane. Look for delays to grow as volume increases. Brake light showing up on the east end westbound Beltline as it continues to get busier. Inbound John Nolan, you're on and off the brakes near the Olin Avenue and North Shore Drive intersections. Expect extra time on other routes heading into Madison, but still plenty of slippery areas on all of the roadways. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And a good reminder, it is a little slippery outside this morning. We have had some flurries here across southern Wisconsin. You may see a few of those through the day today. The main weather story, though, is the cold. Alert days are in effect today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Wind chills, especially during the morning hours, will range from 40 to 60 below tomorrow and Thursday morning. That extended forecast does have temperatures warming up a little bit for the weekend.
Good idea to have your First Alert weather and traffic app on you this week. Stay safe out there, folks.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert weather app and start planning.